Well, last month, January 2024, was our best month. I was able to make 12,000 plus in revenue. It was our best month. It was 4x of what I had made the month before, and it was finally when the side hustle was starting to completely turn into a full-time hustle, I'd say.
And that's great. Is that coaching, consulting, course sales? What's making up that number?
Right. So it's an online course slash community. It has a one-on-one component where I give coaching on the side, but it's basically a bundle with pre-recorded training and a lot of my hand-holding and one-on-one time.
What do you think drove that 4x growth from the previous month?
Well, the interesting thing was that I started doing live webinar trainings every week. So now what I'm doing, instead of just having the pre-recorded uh, lead up in the marketing channels that I had, is that now I'm going and I'm actually having people sign up, attend a live masterclass where I give them a lot of instruction, how to get into the business, what they need to do, what are the steps they need to follow. And then I follow that up with a pitch of if they want to learn more, if they want to work one-on-one with someone that's already done it, remove every possible objection that they might have, then the easiest way to do that is working with me. And that's just driven a lot more, it's driven a lot more traffic to these sessions, and then it's gotten a lot better conversions as well.
So previously it was like pre-recorded evergreen webinar on demand. You can come watch this whenever you want, and you can sign like similar structure and pitch, just on demand versus like, hey, show up Tuesday at 5 o'clock. We're doing it live.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, before it was a pre-recorded evergreen style webinar. I think a lot of entrepreneurs like to do the easiest way possible at first, and it's a lot easier to just kind of set it and forget it.
Yeah.
But I was finding that a lot of people were starting the training, maybe getting distracted, maybe not getting there all the way. And I found that a lot of my warmest leads are most likely to watch the training if it's happening live, even though it's virtually the same thing. The conversions is over twice as well if I do it live. So I
Yeah.
just switched the formula a little bit just to try it out. And when I saw the numbers, I just decided to kind of double down on what was working, and it's working out really well.
Yeah, that's really exciting to see. Like, one little tweak can have a big, I mean, it's not that little. You got to show up every week and do the thing, but it's like, well, it's only an hour. There's trade-offs there for sure, but like a cool variable to test there. And I want to peel it back and say, well, what inspired you to start this thing in the first place? Like, were you getting other people like questioning, like how is this dude traveling all over the place? Like, how is he making money? Like, what? I'm just curious, like the origin story for Superyacht Sunday School.
So basically, working as yacht crew, it's really, really common for people to have envy towards your job, ask you, how did you get into this? What do I need to do the same thing? It's kind of something that we blow off because you wouldn't be surprised how many people ask me. I give them the breakdown, I explain it, and then everyone goes, well, okay, cool, I'll do that sometime. And I just kind of got used to doing the same pitch, copy and pasting the same notes over and over. But I saw that more and more people were making money online, and it was becoming more and more common for people to be able to work from their laptop. So I was based on a boat at the time in the Netherlands. It was really cold. It was winter. It was bleak. It was snowing all the time. And it was a huge contrast between what I'd been previously doing, whether it was in the Caribbean or in the nice Mediterranean waters. And I just thought maybe there's something I can do on the side so I can transition less to doing this and maybe kind of work a little bit on the boats, but also have something on land, because ultimately I knew that I didn't want to be permanently on the boats.
And it wasn't the first side hustle that you thought about or that you started, was it?
No. Actually, I was trying a few different things. I was looking at drop shipping. I was in the middle of building a website trying to, sell different Chinese trinkets and different things. I was thinking about a lot of different things. And ultimately, I kept coming across more and more people that were doing information products or courses based on stuff that they already knew. And it
Okay.
seemed like people were really successful when they actually either had the knowledge or they had the passion for the topic that they were thinking about. So that got me to thinking about the niche that I currently work in. And I was thinking, well, there's not that many people that actually work on yachts. There's a famous TV show that a lot of people think they know about yachting, but it's a kind of a caricature of my industry. But anyway, I thought maybe this is something that I have that other people would like to do. I mean, I knew that people had been asking me about it all the time. I just thought maybe I can package that together and show people how to do it, and that could work.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a very niche, type of career, but still something where you've been able to find a large enough audience that's interested in it to say, okay, like we can turn this into a business versus like, yeah, it's definitely helpful if you've got the actual knowledge and experience to go out and do that thing. Definitely helpful than just, the current trend in side hustles. Well, let's just regurgitate a bunch of AI and spin up a website and see see if it ranks. It's like, I don't know how sustainable that's going to be long term. And in your case, it was, kind of like this aspiring yachty career advice seeker, like people trying to like kind of land their first job in the space. Like that was kind of who you're, or that's the thesis of who I'm going to target.
Right. That was probably my original target as well. But then I also wanted to target people that maybe just wanted to travel, they wanted to work abroad or make money just in an unconventional way, because that was pretty much what I was doing. When I first discovered yachting, I had never been on the water much. I didn't even know how to swim at the time. And while I was backpacking in Southeast Asia, I met someone who was doing this job. And just the more and more they told me about it, it sounded more and more appealing. And again, my love for travel was really what drove me into the industry. It wasn't so much a love for boating or a previous sailing experience. So I figured that it'd be nice to try to find people that were in the same situation as me, because I felt like if I could do it and I could have a successful career, getting even up to the position of captain, that I thought a lot of other people might be able to do the same thing.
This is going to be total aside, like, are you on one boat and you're some like mega wealthy owner just like hires you and you're like full-time staff on this thing? Or is it kind of like per engagement, like, oh, we're going to sail from here to here and we need a crew to come out and help operate the thing?
Well, the great thing about yachting is it's kind of a mix of everything. It is really common for crew to work full-time on a vessel, so they've got a contract and that's who they're working for directly, whether they go through a crew agency or they find that directly through word of mouth. But it's becoming more and more common, especially once you have a little bit of experience. You can freelance, whether it's just for a delivery or for maybe a few months at a time, a few weeks at a time. There's kind of a contract out there for everyone. And again, that's kind of what I want people to realize when I'm getting them into the program, that maybe at first they're going to put their heads down, they're going to work on a specific boat for a while, but once they have that experience, they can kind of do whatever they want with it, whether they want to balance a life of maybe working at sea for a few months, going home for a few months. It's all really possible. There's even yachts out there that have specific contracts set in place. So you work 6 months of the year and then you go home for 6 months of the year and you get paid the whole time. So it can be really lucrative with the time to money ratio for a lot of crew members.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I was first exposed to it from the woman who bought the virtual assistant site in 2020, and it was becoming kind of challenging to nail down meeting times and time zones, because like they were in Canada and then they were in Panama and then they were in Greece, and I was like, it's 2020, like nobody is traveling, like what is going on? Like, and then she explains like, oh, my husband is a chef on this super yacht, and so we're stationed in Turkey or something for like a little bit. So we had like some time zone that aligned up like while they were in Turkey, and it was like, oh, that's that, and that's the reason she bought the site. It's like, I'm looking for something location independent that I could do and follow him around. I was like, oh, well, then this is a perfect fit. Here's a location independent business. Okay, so you get the idea for Superyacht Sunday School, helping people kind of break into this career just like you did. Well, what happens next? Like, talk to me about first steps, initial traction, kind of things to get this off the ground.
So at the beginning of Superyacht Sunday School, it wasn't a full-fledged course. It started out with one-on-one consultations. It started out as just an hour-long call. I had some pre-made PDFs that I had put together, how to do simple steps, how to put together your CV, and just kind of the bare-bones outline of what I have today, coupled with a one-on-one with me. And then there was also a package for a little bit of ongoing support. And the way I tested the idea at the beginning was just getting into social media, starting to see where a lot of people were congregating already for this kind of content. So in my industry, in my niche specifically, there's a lot of people on Facebook. There's Facebook groups for people that are wanting to work on yachts. And I started to go in there, comment, add value, direct people to a lot of the resources I had, to the freebies, and then just through email marketing at first, slowly collecting emails as I gave free information, and then slowly targeting them for that consultation. And then as we continue to grow, starting to just do more and more Instagram content and collaborating with other companies that were already in my niche, whether they were serving yachties in other ways. And that slowly got people to start finding my page. And then once people started finding my content, it really started resonating with a lot of yacht crew. And then they started sharing it, and then it really started snowballing into where it is today.
Okay, well, I feel like we could probably break down each of those steps. And maybe the first thing to highlight is going where the people already are, in this case, inside these yacht crew Facebook groups, to, answer people or like look and see what kind of questions that people have. Like that can fuel a ton of future content, but trying to be of service in there first. So number one, you don't get kicked out. And number two, so people like you and can ultimately engage with you. What was that path from, commenting on these Facebook group threads to, well, now I have an email subscriber?
At first, it was just a lot of legwork because, like you said, going in and looking at what questions are being asked multiple times, what's the most common question, and trying to juggle. I think the age-old question that everyone in online business has is how much is too much, right? And I think what I learned is that the more you give, the more you get. So I think at first we're always worried that if we give too much information, well, who's going to come and buy something from you because you already gave the farm. But I found just going in there generally and seeing what people were asking and just answering it as fully as possible, and then letting them know, if you want more information, here's a guide. I'd love to help you. And that really worked. And you'd see that then the comment threading would start where people would say, oh, I want that too. I want this. So I'd start sending more and more resources to more and more people. And again, it was always behind the gated email address. It wasn't sold at the time. It was just collecting emails because I wanted to build up a list. I wanted to have some kind of followers and subscribers that were interested in the content I was doing. And at the same time, that helped me at the beginning because I could test content. I could see what kind of emails they would open, what things they were most interested in, what downloads were getting pulled in the most. And then that slowly started to take form, and I started to put that together into the first package that then I would start selling later on.
So the opt-in was like this CV guide, or what was the lead magnet, or what was the resource?
I had a few different lead magnets. One was for CVs. One was for different crew agencies that you could find in order to start applying for jobs. And then I kind of had a little checklist that was the bare bones skeleton, again, for the course and the steps that you needed to follow to get in. So I would start tracking which ones were getting downloaded the most. I saw that people were having the most issues with their CVs and finding out where they needed to apply. And that's how I started catering the course then later to what people were reacting to the most.
Okay. CV, which I didn't learn until I was much older in life, was a curriculum vitae. I don't know how to say it, but like it's a fancy word for resume, basically. So just
pretty much
wanted to translate that for anybody who was in my shoes 5-10 years ago when I finally figured out what that was. Okay, so you're starting to get some traction and feedback. And this is all for free at this point, like building up this email list. Real quick aside on the tech front, like what are you like tools and software using to deliver these lead magnets, collect emails, host the site, all that stuff, if you're able to share?
Yeah, so my website's built on Kajabi, a really famous course platform probably a lot of your listeners are familiar with. And then the email autoresponder that I'm using is called Flowdesk. I know there's, ConvertKit and a bunch of different things, but I really like the graphical representation that you can do with Flowdesk. You can make really pretty emails, and especially in my niche, just being a luxury industry that's all about looks, I thought it kind of made sense to have something that was catered to that. And I've always tried to have all of my aesthetic be really nice and kind of match that whole yacht aesthetic. And it so far it's resonated really well with my audience as well.
Yeah, it looks good. If you look at Hugo's Instagram, you can kind of see like the bright orange colors, the beautiful sunsets and these mega yachts, and attractive looking young people out on the decks of these boats. Like it all kind of matches that branding of fun in the sun and like a cool aspiring career. So you start to get people on the email list, and are they like replying to you? Are they like, could you start to do like one-on-one consultations, like starts out as a service business, or what comes next?
Yeah, once I started building up an email list, then I started building out the website afterwards. So at first I just had a regular landing page with some of these opt-ins, and then I slowly started building up a sales page, a very basic one at the time, kind of a 5-minute video saying who I was, what I was about, what I could help them do, and just having a quick checkout at the bottom of the cart. So I started driving people from my email list towards it, and then I started getting traction with that, them being my warmest leads, and then I kind of started to feel more confident in promoting that online. I think a lot of people, especially in my shoes, being new on the online business front, it's still really strange to get someone to pay you for your knowledge. It kind of feels like, well, I got this. Anyone can do this. Can I really sell this? Is it really that valuable? But at the end of the day, realizing that curation is what people are buying. They're buying your knowledge to get it, directly injected into their mind without having to spend countless hours on Google or trying things that don't work or wasting time or even wasting money. which ultimately, slowly, I started to figure out that it was something that people not only wanted, but they were actually really grateful for. I started to get really loyal fans, people following up with me after they got jobs, being really thankful. And that was really the impetus that gave me to continue on and ultimately build the course.
Do you remember your first sale?
Yeah, my first sale, it was my 1 hour consultation with the PDF guides for $299 USD, which was really, really great at the time. I mean, it's still really great, but it was just, like I said, it was really eye-opening to see that in just, one sale, which is what, in the fraction of a second, you can make that much money, as opposed to at the time that was probably a daily rate that I was asking for as mate, or even as a really small boat captain or something. So it was really eye-opening to see, well, okay, if I start stacking this bit by bit, I could probably make 10x of what I make just doing this. So it was really the fire that I needed to get going.
Yeah, so that was for the 1 hour consultation plus the PDF resources, like the digital resources that you were going to send over.
Correct. That was the package that I was doing at the time, kind of testing out the course before the course.
Okay. Gotcha. I think that's a smart way to do it. See what kind of content and resources is resonating most and getting people results versus building out hours and hours of content before there's anybody there. And so trying to it sounds like building almost in lockstep, as the audience grows, as the authority and reputation grow, okay, we're going to keep building out more and more resources for that. Was there a pushback for hey, Hugo's been this guy who's helping us in these groups for free, and now all of a sudden he's asking for money? Was there any of that kind of reaction from the audience?
Yes, there was some. It's always going to be that small minority that's the loudest. I did get, and I continue to still get haters that are like, well, I did this without any course. You don't need that. And
sure.
Of course, my answer to them is, of course, you can do all of this without my help. The reason most people come to me is for that accountability. And like I said, they just want the easy mode. They want to do it as fast as possible without wasting time. So even though there are some haters out there that don't like what I'm doing, or that they expect to get it for free, right? It's an overwhelming amount of people that are messaging me every day. Very thankful, one, for the course and everything I've offered, but even just for my Instagram content. I mean, this is something that in my niche, there was no one giving this kind of information, or at least not this readily and not this expansively. So that drowns out on any of the unfortunate haters that are out there.
And that's fair. I like your line that curation is really what people are buying. Of course, you can get all this stuff for free, but it might take you 4, 6, 12 months. It's look, we condensed it all down. This is what you need to know. This is why people buy books. It's oh, look, I can get 30 years of so-and-so's knowledge, condensed down into 300 pages. That's a no-brainer. So yeah, shortcuts, accountability, and curation there. Now, other yachties start to share this content. It starts to, and that helps it spread. What's the price point on the course today, or is there different packages?
Right now, there's just one package, but it's broken up in two different ways. So if you go to the website, you can get my course right now on demand anytime for $9.97, which works out to be $99 per month for a whole year. But if you go through the webinar sequence and funnel, because you showed up, because you're obviously really interested, because you want to do this, that's when I offer it pretty much at a 50% discount. So then instead of being for a whole year, it's $99 per month for 6 months, or you can just buy it for the one-time payment of $4.99. And that works really well. I have had sales when people are really hot to trot and they just land on my site from Google and they buy. But like I said, people that go through it and they go through the cycle and the sequence, the emails, they get it at the discount for 5 days, and then the cart closes and it goes back to the price that it's listed on. And that's something I promote both in the webinar and the emails. It's hey, if you act now, it's on sale. If not, it's going to be back to its normal price. And that works really well with people. I just never really wanted to do the whole make the course disappear, just because with an online platform, yeah. I didn't feel comfortable making it disappear. Plus, a lot of people are coming to me when it's, not a last resort, but it's something they've always wanted to do. And I just didn't feel comfortable saying, okay, I'm turning it off now. I don't want to take any more new customers or students.
Yeah. Is that deadline funnel that powers that limited time discount? Or was that built in through Kajabi?
Kajabi does have a countdown right now. I haven't played with it. I'm using Deadline Funnel, and they've been really, really great, and they let me tweak a lot of different things. So I've just kind of stayed with what I'm using. But at some point, I do need to check out what Kajabi's doing on that front.
Okay. Yeah, it would be cool if it was all under one umbrella versus having to duct tape different software systems together. But we've had lots of guests also swear by Deadline Funnel too. So that makes sense. What is driving traffic? Is it still like this, boots on the ground, Facebook commenting? Has SEO started to take hold? Like, talk to me about the like top of funnel um, driving interest and awareness segment.
The biggest driver right now is short form video content. So Instagram is my primary and largest audience by far, but I'm cross posting a lot of the video content and also creating unique content for both YouTube Shorts and TikTok. So that's slowly growing. The TikTok is catching up, but it's still quite a bit away. And then at the same time, I am starting to turn some of the well-performing content on Instagram into blogs, and that's going to continue to grow as well. I've also started slowly playing with a little bit of Facebook ads, and this coming week I'm going to do my first live webinar to an almost exclusively ad-driven crowd, so I'm really eager to see. I'm targeting a lot of the same groups where I was commenting before, but now I'm just driving ads to people that are in those groups, so I'm really curious to see how they resonate and how they convert, since obviously they won't be as warm as some of my other clients.
Oh,
But
interesting.
at the moment,
So you can target based on what groups people are in. So I imagine it ends up being a pretty small segment of the Facebook population. Yeah.
correct, yeah. So without getting into the weeds about tech, there's a tool that someone turned me on to. It's called Lead Enforce, ENFORCE. And it's quite an interesting tool. You link your Facebook account, and basically you can create audiences with up to 10 groups. So basically, you put in all the groups that you want to target, and it creates a custom audience that then you can target for ads. And then you can create lookalike audiences from that, or do whatever kind of targeting you want.
Okay.
But it's really interesting, and a lot of these groups that I'm looking at have some of them have as little as 5,000, but some of them have as many as 150,000 people.
Wow.
So I'm eager to see. I'm still trying to go through and have maybe at least like 300 to 500,000 people in these audiences of 10 plus groups. But I'm still playing with it, and I'm still new to Facebook ads, so I'll have to report back and let you know. But it looks promising. The conversions to get people to click through is quite low on pricing. So let's see. I think, at least from my perspective, I'm thinking if they're already interested in yachts and they're already in these groups, then there's a decent chance that they're interested in getting some help too.
Well, yeah, you'll definitely have to send me a note next week after the webinar, and then after the 5-day discount sequence. And I'm curious how that shakes out. Is there a cost per lead target that you're happy with? It's like I don't have all the numbers yet, but what's typical on Facebook these days?
So right now with that tool, I'm getting about anywhere between $1 and $1.25 a lead. So again, until that we see the conversions come through, I'm not sure. But I've been told that for webinar funnels, it's usually a little bit more expensive, and if you can go under $4 a lead, it's quite good. So again, on my limited knowledge, $1.25 sounds really good. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, limited knowledge as well. I'll raise my hand and admit that, but that sounds like it has the makings to be profitable. So that sounds lower than I've heard from other creators or other ad-driven results right now. So good on you for getting it in that cheap. The other thing you mentioned was the short form video. And is this Q&A content? Like, what's working there? Or do you have an example or two of a video that has gone viral for you?
At the moment, my best video, and was also my first video, which kind of breaks the mold because a lot of times you slowly get to know your audience more and more. But my first video was just me standing on a boat I was captaining at the time saying, how much money do you make working on a yacht? And I kind of mimicked or pantomimed a lot of different positions throughout the boat and said some numbers, quick text, how much the amount was. And that got about a million views really quickly.
Wow.
And yeah, so that one exploded, and it's still my highest video to date. But I know, and I'm seeing a lot that really short videos, under 15 seconds, 12 to 15 seconds, seem to work really well. A lot of these 5 to 7 second videos that just have a little bit block of text, maybe someone's washing a boat or something, and I just put, like how much they make or, what they make in tips or break down, just a quick tidbit seems to work really well, it's kind of difficult for me because I'm a talker. I love explaining things really thoroughly, but people they just want to see some pretty stuff and learn something quick, and that seems to get them to keep coming back, and I can just break up the content like that, and at the moment that seems like it's working really well.
Isn't that hard, right? You've been in the field for 9 years. It's hard to do anything in 45 seconds. You're like, whoa, pull up a chair. Let me tell you my story. It's about my life on the sea. And it's hard to do it anyways. But that, like, how much money do you make working on a yacht? You can pivot that to any number of different niches. Like I'm just looking around like, oh, I could totally do like, well, how much do you make for different side hustles? Like, well, here's me podcasting, here's me cutting grass, here's me washing windows, here's me blogging. Like, I think it could be paralleled in a lot of different fields for a million views. Definitely worth taking a swing at it.
Yeah, and it just seems like anything that has money related seems to do best for me. So if I'm talking about how much tips you get, Slant, if I'm talking about how much vacation you get, that one almost does as well, but still not as good as money. But anytime it's about salaries, tips, potential earnings, that just explodes. Whether it's, like I mentioned, whether it's a quick video with just a block of text or it's me giving more of an explanation, by and far, that's what people like. And so I try to kind of cut. The way I teach at the same time is I do a lot of carousels and I do a lot of like blog style posts, and that's where I go deeper and into the weeds about specific topics. So I kind of use the videos to attract. Once people get to the page, I start building a little bit of authority. They see the how to build a yacht. They see me driving the yacht. They go, okay, this guy works on yachts. And then it kind of converts them when they start reading the text and they start seeing, oh, okay, so there's actual teachings to this, there's actual method to the madness kind of thing. And at the moment that works well, kind of combining both. I know some accounts just do short form video, but it seems for me that the audience likes having that duality.
And then the typical social media call to action is sign up for the free live webinar, sign up for the free live training.
Well, my call to actions alter depending on the content. I kind of follow the methodology that you do. Attract, retain, and convert. So I kind of alternate between, hey, follow me for more, or comment on this post, or hey, go directly to the link in my bio to sign up for this masterclass. And again, without getting too much into the weeds with the tech, I use a tool called ManyChat, which is a nice way to get people to comment, and you give them a specific word or thing to say, and then that'll trigger an automation that sends them a link or takes them to a page. And that way you kind of get Instagram to see that people are commenting and engaging while at the same time getting them to convert to something. So I found a lot of success with that. It drives a lot of the people to sign up for my webinars. And I find it a lot more effective than just saying link in bio, because then they've got to back out of your video or they got to click your name, then go to the link in bio, and then they're there to sign up. Whereas when you get something in your inbox, it's a lot easier to see it on your own time.
Yeah, plus you're sending those engagement signals to the platform. Hey, look, all these people are commenting. That's super interesting. Like this was like probably an illustration of my age. I always see people, hey, comment, hustle below, and I'll send you the free thing. Never knew that was automated. Never knew that was ManyChat. Like, that's fantastic that there's a tool to help you do that. The other thing that you mentioned was there's like a popular yachting TV show. Is this like, on the marketing front, like trying to advertise with them, or what's going on over there?
Right. Very small industry. It's a niche industry. So I know several of the people that have actually been on the show. So I'm working with them to kind of start working as mini yachty influencers for me. And then slowly I'd like to domino that. And, once so-and-so starts working with me and, I can go, hey, well, this guy's making $5,000 a month. Don't you want to do the same thing while you're on those boats? Because you need to step off of them at some point. And
what's the show?
I know it's called Below Deck. So Below Deck is a Bravo or just reality TV show that's based, loosely around people that work on super yachts and the guests that go on these super yachts.
Interesting. So signing up the people who've been on the show as affiliate partnerships, or as you called it, like mini influencers, even if they don't have a huge dedicated following around this topic, a segment of their following is definitely interested in it. And so trying to get them on board to help create user-generated content for you, or help drive people your way, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. And you'd be surprised. I mean, some of these people from Below Deck, some of them have over 1 million followers. Some of them have a few 100,000 to almost 1 million. And then the ones that have only been on in some of the recent shows, those guys probably have about 50,000. But they have pretty significant audiences. And again, like the nature of a lot of things, I'm sure a lot of their audience is just people that like the show, people that want to see more about them. Yeah. But through the nature of why they were portrayed on TV, I do think that some of them will have significant amounts of people that might be curious enough to then check out my content and then fulfill that guilty pleasure of, oh, I want to do this too.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Like trying to find who those players are in your space. And you're right, 100,000 plus followers. It's like no longer a mini influencer at all. Like they've got a sizable audience, sizable following themselves. Just a matter of getting in their getting on their radar, like getting in their inbox and presenting it as is the pitch like, hey, we could do a joint workshop? Like what's the initial outreach there?
Well, right now I've got one of the gentlemen. He's basically doing reels and driving them towards an affiliate link for my masterclass. But what we're talking about trying to do is getting him to do it kind of partnered with me, because I know a lot of his audience is following him for him, and they're always going to listen to him more so than me, just because that's why they're there, right? So if I can get him to directly be teaching or just co-hosting some of these events with me, I know the conversions are going to be a lot higher. So that's what we're working on now. At the moment, he's just driving to his affiliate link for my recorded content and my live trainings, but that's in the works. That's the next step.
Yeah, that makes sense to have a more like a warmer handoff, if that like versus like somebody completely cold, like he's kind of on there, with you, and it's like, hey, there's that, and kind of like that trust gets transferred in a way, if I'm interpreting correctly.
Yeah, and I think there's not as much resources on this one, so I'm kind of going off of some of the things I've read, some of the social media people that I've talked to, but when I run through it in my head, the logic makes sense at least.
that's half the battle in some cases. So we've got the influencer / affiliate strategy. We've got the social media campaigns that are going. We've got a little bit of paid traffic, testing through Facebook, and starting to build up SEO, like translating some of the social content and short form content into longer form blog articles for SEO. But anything else on generating leads or the marketing front that you found effective?
So far, that's the extent of what I'm doing. I'm also playing with the idea of starting a podcast as well, just having interviews with other existing crew, and then also just incorporating interviews with students of mine that have successfully entered the industry, because again, it's going to be a driver of both social proof showing, hey, this person did it, it's great, and then also I feel like if I accumulate enough stories, then when someone says, hey, I used to be a teacher, can I still do this? Or, hey, am I too old? I can just directly drive them to, well, check out episode 35. She was 50 and she started. Or, hey, this person used to be a university grad and now they're captaining the 7 Seas. So I'm working on that. I haven't started that yet, but that's on the horizon. I also don't want to do too much at the same time. So I'm kind of slowly building up.
I think you'll find that podcasting is a super powerful relationship builder with your guests, with your audience, but super time consuming. So not something necessarily to, enter in lightly, even if you say, hey, we're producing season 1, or, we're going to maybe position it as an experiment. So it's like, well, I didn't commit to having to do it every single week for time, indefinitely into the future. But super powerful for building relationships and to build those, case studies and testimonials. And we've heard from other course creators who have a podcast, anytime they bring their students on, like, boom, instant credibility, instant spike in sales, because like, oh, someone else did it and somebody else is vouching for this program. So I think that makes a ton of sense. Right now, as you mentioned, that kind of like the pricing for the course, either on demand or through the webinar, and then there was like the monthly payment options. Is there an ongoing program for, or is it kind of like geared toward people like, hey, help me get my first yacht job, and that's kind of like the deliverable? Or like, what I'm trying to get at is like, is there a membership component, or is there like a recurring revenue piece of it beyond just the monthly payment plan?
So you've kind of exactly hit where this is going. So the next step of this, and what I've already started doing with a select amount of crew, is doing a little bit of the same, but through an ongoing membership for crew. So there's a lot of resources that crew need. There's a lot of ongoing training that you can do to both make more money, get better positions, or just progress. Well, that's kind of the only ways you progress, right? You either make more money or you get to a better position. But that's the goal, to not only coach people into it, but coach people through it. Ultimately, down the road, I want to help people coach them out of the business too, but one thing at a time. But I'd like to continue now getting more and more crew into it, because especially with the community aspect, even with the people that I've got going into the business, like there's a really nice community that we're building. Again, going into the tech, I'm building on Heartbeat, which is a really good platform, heartbeat.chat. It's good for both community and courses. So I'd like to incorporate kind of a section for people that are entering the business, and then have a section for people that are already in the business, and then find, that I can just ascend customers throughout, or students throughout the journey. So once you're in, maybe put a little badge on you, you're now a Yachty, just escalate you to the next level, whether you want to continue on and make it compelling enough for you to stay with me, and kind of continue creating that ongoing membership model, because it seems really powerful. And I'm part of different memberships. It's great. you get ongoing training, you continue leveling up your skills, and it makes sense. And it's something that my industry really lacks. Unless you have really good superiors, a really good captain, or someone who's just genuinely really interested in your career, unless you do a lot of work yourself, you're not really going to figure out what you need to do. So I just want to fill in that gap and help be that mentor for a lot of people, because thankfully I had mentors and I was able to get to where I was really quickly. But I know a lot of people that are working in the biz, and they started at the same time as I did, and they're maybe halfway in terms of the hierarchy and what they've been able to achieve.
Is that program launched yet, or that's kind of in its fledgling stages, kind of like in the idea phase of, well, what would an ongoing, coaching, mentorship, resource program look like for existing crew members?
Well, right now it's kind of in the testing modes, because I have some crew that are about 1 to 2 years in that continue wanting both, what guidance and pointing in the direction of what courses they should be doing, where should they be moving, what kind of boats should they be targeting, etc. So I've got a few people that are going through that at about $59 per month right now. It's just it's a really loose thing. But ultimately, I want to move it I want to make it like an ongoing, again, like $99 per month, a lot more training, continued monthly Q&As, a little bit of hand-holding from me. And then if you want something that's a deeper coaching, that I specifically work directly with you one-on-one, we look at your situation, we target what you need to do, then that would be a higher tier.
That makes sense. Now, to what extent can you deliver the training virtually? As I'm like, well, you got to learn how to tie these knots, or you got to learn CPR in case somebody falls overboard, or like, I don't know what kind of digital training would be included.
Well, one of the things that's a lot of yachties struggle with is basically like the career aspect. Like, what courses should you be taking and when, and then study prep for a lot of those courses. So, to be a captain, it's, of course, the part that I don't really care to struggle with, at least at the moment, is I'm not going to teach you how to drive the boat, right? Eventually, it'd be nice to have some course trainings on that. But again, it's a lot of feel for it, and I think you can tackle that on the job. But knowing how to pass certain captain exams, which courses you should be taking, which captain licenses actually matter specifically for yachting, what are the prerequisites for them, what stuff can you skip, what are the shortcuts, all of that is actually really nebulous, and it's really hard to navigate. And again, you have to hold certain licenses for a certain amount of time before you apply for this. And if you don't submit your seat time by this date, it kind of slows down the whole process. How do you fill out these forms? And there's kind of a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't know and they actually struggle with. And that's what I want to remove, because I don't think anyone needs to struggle through any of that and the paperwork side of it when, the job itself is difficult enough.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. Kind of like a career advisor in your pocket, plus a community of other people trying to do the same thing. I can see how that would be definitely valuable for people in the field, or other crew member in the field. Now, I got to ask, you're likely rubbing elbows with the rich and famous on these super yachts. Like, are there a memorable story or two that you can share without incriminating anyone? Like, what happens at sea here?
That's a good question. There are a plethora of NDAs and other things. I can tell you I've rubbed shoulders with a lot of people. I've met John Bon Jovi, George Lucas. I've met people like Pharrell. Very common. You see sports players, rappers, all kinds of stuff. And for the most part, it's really interesting to just realize that most of them are more down to earth and less attention seeking than you'd think. At the end of the day, it's funny just seeing people chilling out. I don't really think of LeBron James just chilling out. You kind of see these people on TV and you think they're always going to be amped up and ready to go. And, I was working on Jerry Seinfeld's boat at one point, and it's just really interesting to notice that at the end of the day, people are just as lazy as all of us in different aspects. So that's pretty cool. I mean, there are certain personalities that are really entertaining, right? Like Magic Johnson is really energetic. He's really cool. But at the end of the day, I've kind of lost a lot of the star factor, I think I'd say.
Yeah.
It's just something that happens with the business. But let me think. I don't know if I'm attaching this the right way.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. It's like there's Tom Brady again, or there's LeBron again. It becomes just a day in the life. It becomes part of the business.
Yeah, exactly. The most impressive thing is when I see people that own these yachts or that are on there with their families and they have really good relationships and it's really strong and everyone's having fun, because a lot of times I don't know, you can see people on these giant yachts and they're just kind of living like they're at home, and it can be quite disappointing. Like, you think that there's so much more that needs to be happening, and you think it's a lot more parties and craziness, which that is part of it. That does work, but a lot of times people just treat this like their house, and it is a vacation home. It is like their Hampton home, for instance. It's not just what you'd expect, nonstop raves and parties. But it is really cool, and the star factor is really interesting.
I'm just like thinking of like the price tags of these yachts themselves. Like, there have to be a certain level of net worth to even think about owning one or using one. So it makes sense there. Any crazy stories of a party gone wrong, a storm at sea, a rogue wave, or somebody goes overboard, or you think it's gonna capsize? You're like,
yeah, I've had a few times where we do go into rough weather. Like on my first Atlantic crossing, I think I really didn't know what to expect, and we were about to arrive in the south of France, and we did hit, what they call a Mistral, which is a really, really strong storm that just all of a sudden appears. And on that boat, everything was flying off the shelves. The boat felt like, at the time, like it was going straight from one end to the other. It was really, really scary. You couldn't see anything. The captain was hand steering at the time, and glass was breaking. Everything was wild. But luckily, in terms of yachting, at least, for the most part, since we are on floating toys, if the captain tells the owner, hey, it looks like it's going to be pretty crap weather, you're going to risk maybe doing millions of dollars of damage, it's pretty chill. They go, okay, so let's wait till next week. And you're dealing with the ultra wealthy who have all the time in the world. And they go, yeah, we can change the trip. Whereas, if you talk to a lot of counterparts or seamen that work on cargo ships or things like that, they've got to make it from one end to the other in whatever time frame that they have, because every moment that they wait, that cargo is not generating revenue, or they're losing the space that they could be doing another trip. So in terms of other seamanship, it's really, really lucrative in the fact that we have the benefit of being able to wait. We postpone all the time, and that's really nice. But of course, weather's always unpredictable, and there are times when we get caught in weather. There's been times that I've been sick as a dog, just staring out at the horizon, really hoping not to throw up. But thankfully, that's few and far between, and that's one of the things I tell people too. Like, even if a lot of people worry that, I get seasick, I don't know if I could work on a yacht. But when you're on maybe a 300-foot yacht, it's a lot different than when you were on that 30-foot dinghy going fishing the other day. So for the most part, it's pretty smooth sailing.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine what these boats are like. That's pretty crazy. Anything you would do differently over the course of the last year and a half of building this thing, or mistakes, surprises along the way on the online business side?
One of the biggest mistakes for me, at least, wasn't just in the last year and a half, but in terms of realizing the power of short form video content. I don't know if it's a combination of never being one to be huge on social media, and also the technology with phones at the time. But a lot of the stuff I recorded back when I was actually a yachty wasn't very good, and also it was in horizontal format. So I wish if I could go back, definitely turn the camera around and realize that Instagram was here to stay, and that I should be recording more vertical format, and just trying to capture as much as I could, because the how-to videos, time lapses of you doing activities, all of that is so powerful for creating that audience on these platforms right now, and that's what people want to see, and that's what people are engaging with. So it's been a little bit of a struggle. Sometimes I've been getting content from other people already in the biz. Right now I'm temping on a yacht also to shoot content, but just having an excess amount of video content would have been critical and a lot more helpful, at least. So that's my feedback for anyone that's looking to do pretty much any audience building on these apps. Like, the more video you can have doing whatever it is you're trying to teach people, show people, sell people, that's going to make it that much easier for you.
That's a really interesting one. I don't know if anybody has mentioned, like, lots of people will say, yeah, create more content, but like the specific call, like, is you never know when you're going to need a background for your thing or B-roll for your other thing. And that's a really interesting one. Like, more vertical video. You can never have too much. Like, just get an external hard drive if you run out of space, and you'll be able to have this and reuse it, hopefully for years to come. What's next for you? What else is going on for Superyacht Sunday School in the coming year here?
Right now, we're also doing a bit of recruitment. I'm also managing a yacht right now. So I just want to continue growing the course platform, like I mentioned, getting more of the crew coaching, the crew counseling in there, but also getting more involved in my industry in terms of doing more of the recruitment side. It's, again, really, really lucrative. Every time you place crew onto a yacht, as long as they stay at least 3 months, you get 1 month's salary paid out also to you. So sometimes I think, the quickest way to make more money is to do what's generating the most. So, of course, my primary focus is always doing the course, helping people solving their problems, but at the same time, just continuing to expand in the other money-making opportunities that are present in my niche, and using this platform that's already gotten so many people and so much visibility, growing that side of it. Because the yacht that I'm managing right now, the way I was found was the owner of the yacht. I don't know, he must have been searching yacht on Instagram, stumbled onto my page, and directly asked me, "Hey, do you know how I can find some crew?" And, using all of the platforms that I already established for the course, I was able to, round up crew, and I've continued to do so repeatedly. So getting
Yeah,
the
interesting. Or even students of yours be like, hey,
yeah,
now, in addition to having all this, hands-on expert training, is like, well, we might be able to help you get placed too. And like, you kind of play both ends.
exactly. And that's something I'm really excited for, and I want to continue growing, because if I can, prove that the people that are coming to me, they're obviously, they're willing to invest in themselves. They're really motivated. And, if I can then start placing them and proving, hey, these people are consistently showing that they're a higher caliber just because they've already gone through the trouble of trying to learn, they're already willing to better themselves. If I can kind of create that bridge, then it'll be a really unique proposition, because then I can kind of guide them onto their first yacht and kind of be getting fed from both ends, from the owner and from the crew.
Yeah, so you'll have multiple revenue streams. You'll have the captain and crew revenue stream as you choose to continue to do that. You got the course, you have the membership or the ongoing, crew coaching counseling program, and this new recruiting arm as well. So lots of different things that you can add on to this. Anything else that we missed?
Super yachting industry, we have the benefit of being this luxury industry that everyone's looking up to, but in terms of the tech side and the crew side, I think there's a lot of opportunity there to better things. So I've got a lot of ideas and a lot of things I want to do with tech. I've already started to do with the audience building, with the course, and I just want to continue to modernize the industry in a way. I feel like there's a lot of antiquated practices, even with recruiting, where it's just people emailing each other and saving PDFs, and I just want to automate and show that a small online entrepreneur can really take this by storm and make it better just by adapting modern online principles that are working in other niches and bring them here, whether it's creating the next Upwork for yacht crew, or just creating a recruitment platform. So I'm excited to just see where this goes.
Yeah, me too. It sounds like you're well positioned to kind of have a front row seat to wherever you want to take it. I think it's really an interesting, very, very niche, like at the highest echelons of what these boats can cost. But, because of their size, like it takes a lot of people to run these things, and you've got your pulse on, where those people are at and how to help them. So superyachtsundayschool.com. You can find Hugo over there. Free superyachttraining.com. If you find yourself like, you know what, I could use a career change. Maybe I want to go work on a big boat. Freesuperyachttraining.com as the link to his free workshop, free training over there. Let's wrap this thing up with your number one tip for Side Hustle Nation.
Just don't give up. Like Nick was saying before, I spent about a year and 4 months, and now I'm really seeing the returns on that audience building. It took about a year of creating a really good audience of people, giving, serving, to finally start turning this into a full-time hustle. And even if you would have asked me 3 months ago, I was struggling. I was wondering, is this going to pan out the way that I thought? But thankfully, I just kind of kept doubling down on what was working and focusing on bettering the audience, bettering how I was giving, and it's just starting to really, really come to fruition. So don't give up, and really focus and remember on serving first, and the rest should come into play.
It's always more time consuming than you want it to be in those early days. And we've had people say, well, it was 9 months before I made my first dollar. And I think you kind of shortcut that a little bit by going directly to where the audiences already were in the Facebook groups. And that's one of my takeaways here, go where the people are. And you had a line that says, the more you give, the more you get. So showing up with an abundance mindset and trying to be a trying to speak value into this industry and like be of service to other people, and then kind of building the products and building the lead magnets kind of in concert as the audience grew, as the reputation grew. I think that was really smart. And then your note here, well, what quadrupled sales in the last 60 days? It was showing up live, like doing that in-person training. I think I'll raise my hand and say, like, yeah, if I can automate it, if I can just set this on replay, repeat, sure, that sounds great. But especially in the early days, if you could show up live, do live Q&A, like really build the personality and hopefully build that crew of raving fans early on that is going to help spread the word and evangelize for you. Lots of cool stuff on the marketing front, including tapping into other influencers with an audience that might be interested in this, and then stacking on new revenue streams, the recruiting side, the ongoing membership side, the future technology software side. Like there's some blue ocean, so to speak, in this industry. So super inspiring stuff. If you're wondering what to listen to next, we've got a whole online course series with Jacques from Piano in 21 Days. We've got a few of his proteges, including Spencer Russell and Nate Dodson on the show. We'll try to link up those episodes for you in the archives as well. And they're in those cases driving traffic with short form video, and in Nate's case, long form video. Like kind of here's the overview walkthrough of his microgreens space on YouTube. And if you want more, opt in for the free starter guide. I forget what his lead magnet was, but evergreen content to lead magnet to course sale, like different ways to go about it. But attract. What did you call it? You called it attract, retain, and
convert.
Say again.
Attract, retain, and convert.
Exactly. Attract, retain, and convert. That's the ticket. But if courses aren't your thing, that's cool too. I'm not offended by that. And that's why we've got hundreds of other episodes in the archives to choose from to help narrow down your options. What you can do is go to hustle.show, answer a few short multiple choice questions, and generate a personalized playlist based on your answers. Thousands of listeners have already claimed theirs. I want to invite you to be next. Again, that's hustle.show for your free custom curated Side Hustle Show playlist. Big thanks to Hugo for sharing his insight. Thank you for listening and for supporting the advertisers that help make this content free for everyone. You can hit up sidehustlenation.com/deals for all the latest offers from our sponsors in one place. And thanks for supporting the advertisers that support the show. That really does make a difference. That is it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, until next time, let's go out there and make something happen. And I'll catch you in the next edition of the Side Hustle Show. Hustle on.